Hey everyone! So today we're diving into one of the most famous images in psychology, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You know the one, that simple, elegant pyramid that seems to explain literally everything about what makes us tick. But the real story behind it, and what Maslow actually believed, is so much more interesting than that simple chart we all know.
I mean, chances are you've seen this pyramid a million times. It's in textbooks, business meetings, you name it. And it makes sense, right? It feels so neat and orderly, this step-by-step guide to what drives us. But today, we're going to peel back the layers on this familiar image and get to the more complex and, honestly, way more fascinating story behind it all.
So just as a quick refresher, let's build the classic pyramid. It all starts at the bottom, right? With our physiological needs, air, water, food, the absolute basics for survival. Once we've got those covered, we start looking for safety, security, stability, a roof over our heads. Then we climb up to love and belonging, searching for our tribe, for friends, family connection. Next up is esteem, that need for respect, not just from others, but from ourselves too. And finally, we get to the very top, the peak of the mountain, self-actualization, the drive to become the best version of ourselves.
Okay, so let's just spend another moment on this classic 5-level model. This is the version that's taught everywhere, from high school psych class to corporate boardrooms. The core idea here is something called prepotency. It's a fancy word, but it's a simple idea. A need that's already met doesn't motivate you anymore. You have to pretty much satisfy the needs at the bottom before you get really fired up about pursuing the needs higher up. I mean, if you're starving, you're not really thinking about your creative potential, are you? But, and this is important, it's not a rigid all-or-nothing deal. You can be a little hungry and still want to feel loved.
Okay, so now for the first big plot twist. Get ready for this. What if I told you that the most iconic part of this whole theory, the pyramid itself, wasn't even Maslow's idea? So where on earth did it come from?
No, seriously, the pyramid was drawn for the first time by a management consultant named Charles McDermott back in 1960. He created it as a simple, catchy visual to help managers understand what motivated their employees. Maslow himself never drew a pyramid. And while this visual made the theory super popular, it also kind of flattened it out, stripping away a ton of the nuance.
So, if it wasn't a strict pyramid, what did Maslow actually say? Well, his original idea was a lot more fluid, a lot more human. It's less like climbing a ladder and more like juggling a bunch of overlapping needs at once.
This gets us back to his core concept, prepotency. He saw it more in terms of decreasing percentages of satisfaction. So maybe your physiological needs are, say, 85% met, your safety needs are at 70%, your love needs are at 50%, and so on. See? It's messy. Our motivations are all jumbled up, with different needs popping up and demanding our attention all the time.
And here's another really crucial distinction Maslow made. He split the hierarchy into 2 different types of needs. Those bottom 4 levels, he called them deficiency needs. You're motivated by what you don't have. It's like an itch. Once you scratch it, the feeling goes away. But self-actualization is totally different. That's a growth need. It's not about fixing a deficit. It's a constant, burning desire to grow. And the funny thing is, the more you satisfy it, the stronger that desire gets.
Maslow put it so perfectly with this line: "What a man can be, he must be." This isn't about becoming famous or rich. It's about that deep internal pull to live up to your own unique potential, whatever that happens to be.
So how does all this theory actually play out in real life? Well, it's actually a pretty handy lens for understanding what drives us, both on the job and in our personal lives.
Just take a look here. At work, a steady paycheck, boom, that's your physiological need right there. Job security and a boss who isn't a tyrant, that's safety. Feeling like you're part of a team gives you that sense of belonging. Getting recognized for a job well done, that's esteem. And finally, getting to tackle challenging projects that help you grow, that taps right into self-actualization. And you can see how the exact same logic works in our personal lives too.
But, and this is a big but, as powerful as this hierarchy is, it's not perfect, not by a long shot. Over the years, a lot of very smart people have pointed out some pretty big holes in the theory. And to really get the full story, we have to look at those critiques.
For all its influence, the theory has some major blind spots. For one, Maslow's method wasn't exactly, well, scientific. He basically just studied a small group of people he really admired, like Albert Einstein. Critics also point out that it's super focused on individual achievement, which is a very Western individualistic value. Does it apply in more collectivist cultures? Maybe not. And modern research kind of backs this up. A huge global study in 2011 found that the order isn't universal at all. People can feel love and fulfillment even when their basic needs aren't totally secure. Think about the classic starving artist. They're clearly prioritizing self-actualization over safety and security.
And that brings us to the final, and I think the most important part of this whole untold story. See, Maslow himself knew his theory wasn't finished. In his later years, he kept working on it, adding new layers that almost never make it into the textbooks. He realized that the 5-level model was just incomplete. It didn't capture the whole picture of human motivation. He saw that even after we get some self-respect, other needs start to bubble up before we can truly, fully self-actualize.
So first he added cognitive needs. That's our natural curiosity, our deep-seated drive to learn, to know, to figure things out. Then after that, he added aesthetic needs, our appreciation for beauty, for symmetry, for order. He argued we are actively driven to find and create beauty in our world. He saw these as absolutely essential steps on the journey.
But he wasn't done yet. He added a new pinnacle, a new peak to the entire hierarchy that went beyond just focusing on the self. He called this final, forgotten level, self-transcendence.
So what is self-transcendence? It's the motivation to connect to something beyond your own skin. It's about serving others, dedicating yourself to an ideal like justice or truth, or connecting with something spiritual. For the later Maslow, the ultimate goal wasn't just to become your best self, but to use that best self in service of a cause greater than you. And that leaves us with a pretty powerful thought to chew on. The simple pyramid we all learned suggests success is all about climbing your own personal ladder. But Maslow's final, more complete vision flips that script. It suggests that maybe true fulfillment isn't about reaching the top for yourself, but about reaching out to others. It really makes us stop and ask, what are we really striving for? Thanks for digging into this with me.